tacked up. And if you get too close, you're getting cracked up. Stone cold when I roll, coming out of the hole. Get back, cause I'm out of control. I'm on the edge.
Welcome to Lucas Oil on the Edge. This week we're coming to you from the desert for the highly anticipated King of the Hammers event. If you love horsepower and wide open racing, then King of the Hammers is right up your alley. Strap in and hold on tight because it's going to be a bumpy one. It's only on OTE.
Welcome to the West Coast. Ken Stout and Brian Olson to call all the action for you from one of the largest and most prestigious off-road events on the planet. This is the 2012 Griffin King of the Hammers, the ultimate desert race from Johnson Valley, California. These vehicles really use a lot of technology. First of all, they have to rely on speed. They're not really built for big speed because they also have to handle what is a violently rough terrain.
They go 76 miles altogether, Ken. They're unlimited in their size and their weight and their tire size. You can run any fuel. However, you cannot run nitromethane, nor can you run methanol on this course. It's flat ground in some areas. It's rock crawling in others. And just a few of the things that you have to have shown here. First aid kit, fire extinguisher, 13-gallon trash can. Might sound weird, but if you want to have a picnic, you got to have a place to throw the trash. And a very loud horn, by the way.
As we take a look at our Griffin King of the Hammer starting order for the top 10, take a look at number 3. That is Shannon Campbell. He is the reigning champion out here who won it just 1 year ago, coming from Arizona. As we take a look at some of the vehicles that are out here as well, Eric Miller and Miller Motorsports, one of the tough competitors out here, will certainly be a force. You can see the monster-backed machine as well there. Lap 1, keep in mind these laps are some 76 miles in distance. Here we go.
And unlike most racing and sanctioning bodies and organizations, it's not a land rush with everyone involved. It's two at a time off the starting line here.
Yeah, you can see them. They will obviously race against the clock, and they leave here side by side. It's always exciting for the fans as we watch Shannon Campbell in that monster-backed machine take off, and he's hoping to repeat. That would be quite a feat if he could do so.
Keep in mind, this is one of those situations where the terrain is so tough that you will probably be in a situation where it's seldom you're going to cover this 76-mile course without a flat tire, without some sort of malfunction in some sort of a way. If you do, you had yourself a great, great day.
Here's a look at Rick Mooneyham, another tough competitor out here. We look for him to do well before the day's all over with as we watch some of the other competitors go flying by, and this is what we were talking about before. They can carry a lot of speed. There's no shortage of horsepower in these vehicles, but this is what they're designed for here.
Yeah, this is the absolute toughest part of the course. And you got to have yourself prepared. And when we talked about tires, this is where knocking the tires out really comes into play. The Monster Energy machine making some good moves there. Now, you might also note right here with this machine that there is no co-driver. So if you get in trouble, you're going to be on your own.
Yeah, and these guys, needless to say, can have some issues out here in the desert, so they carry as much equipment as they possibly can to help them. Certainly in case of a flat, you see the spare tire on the back. As we watch Levi Shirley, the younger of the two Shirleys, his father being Brian, and he needs to get in the throttle right there, and he does so. He saves it. Can he save it again? Oh, and finally it goes over. I mean, almost a magnificent job of saving that one.
That is the 81 machine, and you're right. We watched the Ready Lift off-road suspension replay, and that baby went right on its side. Will we go from son to the dad?
Spotter and using a winch here as well. I mean, this is against the clock, so they're not going to receive any penalties. Their penalty is the extra time that it's taking them, no doubt. Creighton King and the boys rooting on the Shirleys. Casey Curry out here, who really spends a lot of time in short course off-road racing, is now trying his hand at this. Of course, Curry Enterprises, big in the off-road world when it comes to differentials and, of course, the housings that they go in.
Yeah, they not only do it for that, but I mean street cars, drag cars, the whole deal. This is the Chocolate Thunder area, by the way, and this is oh man!
Talk about tough.
Gosh, dang, that was bad on that, man.
It is unbelievable. We have plenty more action that we're going to show you from King of the Hammers. Make sure you stay with us right here.
This Lucas Oil On the Edge telecast is being brought to you by Lucas Oil. Made in America, sold to the world. General Tire. Anywhere is possible. Ready Liftoff Road Suspension. a new revolution in off-road suspension design and development.
Once again, welcome back to the King of Hammers, the ultimate desert race, and there's a look at the easy part. We are working our way into the hard part. Bill Phillips here as well, taking a crack at it, and again, you can see the spare strapped on the back, but these guys have equipment that is second to none when it comes to toughness as we take a look at the reigning champ from 2011.
Yeah, Shannon Campbell, without a doubt, one of the best. And just take a look at the back of that thing. Look at the height and the length of those shocks and how many of them there are on this vehicle. I mean, the travel on this thing is not measured in inches, it's measured in feet. I mean, it's really, really amazing how it works. Eric Miller again. Oh, saved that baby. Here's the other part about it is, if you're a fan of this sport, you can pretty much pick your seat wherever you want to. The sky's the limit, more or less. Mooneyham out front right now in that 554 machine, and he is just
Oh,
whoa! You wouldn't think in this part of the course you'd see that happen, man.
Well, and that's whenever I said these cars aren't really built for speed, because they do have a high center of gravity, and as you can see, the suspension is soft so that they can deal with this sort of stuff. So it doesn't take them long to get unstable when you're out there running along at 80, 90, 100 miles per hour.
You take a high center of gravity, a short wheelbase, and the fact that these shocks, again, as you mentioned, have, and I mentioned as well, they have the short amount of travel rather than the long amount of travel. That's the result. Here he goes. Oh, Fioravanti saved that thing, but he's high-sided it.
And there's why they need that high center of gravity to get over some of this stuff. You need big-time ground clearance, but don't count them out when you see them get stuck like that. The tricks that they can do with these vehicles is unbelievable. Look at that right there. I mean, he makes it look easy.
Nick Nelson here on the what we'll call the flat ground part of this deal. And again, look at that suspension travel. Look at how little the driver and co-driver are moving around. Now we're back into that bottleneck area here at the Chocolate Thunder area, and this is going to be one of the things that will hinder drivers throughout the course of the day. Like anything else, if you're one of the first ones out and you can miss this stuff, you'll have a great opportunity when it comes to the checkered flag.
We're slinging some dirt right there. You can hear them working on the throttle, big-time horsepower, and they just attack this stuff as they're really getting bound up in this Chocolate Thunder area. And this is what's going to open up the opportunity for some of the other competitors, maybe Shannon Campbell as well, if they can get around and through that area without getting bottlenecked up.
Well, for the most part, it's one of the early areas that's part of the course that is problematic, if you will. Right now, Eric Miller and the Miller Motorsports team currently running in the second position. They've made it past that Chocolate Thunder area and are all by themselves out there right now. If you look around, they're in a whole different area of the course, and they're making it look sort of easy right here. Again, each and every one of these stops has its own tough parts, if you will, but Miller making it look easy right here.
Watching Shannon Campbell again.
Boy, that is a rock right
I mean,
there.
just nose right up to it, stand on the throttle, and see if we can get over it.
It is just so amazing. Again, I'm not kidding you.
You can see the side panels there beat up a little bit as they deal with the obstacles, the boulders that they're trying to get over.
It's hard to believe, man. I mean, you can't move these boulders with great big backhoes, and I mean, it'd take a crane to move some of them. They're having to get over them.
Greg Adler, a standout in the Pro 2 division in short course off-road racing, and of course the president of Four Wheel Parts out here putting his parts to the test and showing people what he has to offer for those who like to come out here and have some fun. But Eric Miller right now is the man as we watch some of the other competitors, including Matt Messer, who's not having such a good day.
Not at all, man. You see him off to the side there. That's a tough way to go.
A beautiful view here from up top. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Listen up, Lucas Oil on the Edge fans. It's time to prove how much you love OTE by downloading the free Lucas Oil on the Edge app for your iPhone and iPad. You can check out the OTE schedule, see past shows, and meet the cast. In addition, you can browse the OTE apparel. This is an app that has it all and is a must for every Lucas Oil on the Edge fan.
Welcome back to Lucas Oil on the Edge. We're desert racing this entire episode with the King of the Hammers. 134 competitors enter this event for a chance at the $25,000 prize and the bragging rights. The field is packed with standouts in the off-road world. Will we have a repeat winner, or will a new champion be crowned? Let's get back to the action.
134 of them altogether, Ken. How many will finish?
Yeah, absolutely. I promise you not all of them, because it is a brutal race, quite possibly the hardest out here we will find in this country for sure. King of Hammers, lap 2, another 76 miles ahead of these guys. Shannon Campbell trying to dig his way back to the front, currently in 5th place as you watch the Monster Energy machine negotiate through some of this stuff. Currently in 2nd, Rick Mooneyham has had a number of flat tires. Keep in mind, these guys can change a flat tire in about 4 minutes, 5 minutes. That's unstrapping, climbing out, jacking it up. It's not an easy thing to do out here in the desert, and especially on this. I mean, you need a jack that can really raise these things up with all the travel. So we're not talking about something that's easy to do. And then, of course, get the wheel tire off. Big, heavy. We're talking about in excess of 100 pounds. Put the other one on.
And not only that, you've got to find a place to do that is in a safety zone, if you will, for those going past you while you're actually changing these tires. And also keep in mind, there are pit stops in different areas, depending on the amount of funding of your team. Oh, man, another one goes over. That's the 4466 machine.
And look, it's still running. He puts it in reverse and tries to keep it going.
Oh, man, I'll tell you what, I just don't have a clue. Those things would beat me to death.
Derek West out there trying to hang in the top 5 as well. And that's the other thing you have to think about. Staying on course so that you don't get lost. Shannon Campbell with a flat tire pulls into one of the remote pits. He did not have a spare on the back of it, opting out because they do have a number of remote pits out here. So his theory was, if I have a flat, I'm just going to drive it as hard as I can to the first remote pit and then make a change there.
And not only that, again, Shannon is one of those very few drivers who rides solo. So if he did and had to do it by himself, he'd be in deep, deep trouble here.
Well, at least you can save a little bit of weight when you go that way.
Yep.
As we go back and watch John Cagliero. Beautiful looking machine here as well, and that one digging hard as it gets some grip and some bite, and we go back into the Chocolate Thunder area. They're literally driving over each other in here.
Looks like a parking lot down there, man. That is crazy. And that is the top bottleneck of this deal. And again, for those top 5 or top 10 drivers, you know, that's the advantage of getting out and getting out first and getting out early, because this bottleneck right here will slow you down. There's no way you got a top 10 coming after that.
A beautiful job through that tough area, but it's not going to get any easier here for Levi as, well, he made it look pretty easy, didn't he?
He sure did. One of the other things you talked about just a little bit ago, you touched base on, you know, the amount of times these things could be on their side, maybe their roofs. You know, it comes down to oil exchange. Well, these things obviously must run a dry sump system, because otherwise, once you get those cylinders filled with oil, the motors will not run. They'll just basically lock up tight because of the amount of oil and the fuel volume that fills the cylinders there. So dry sump system's a must here.
Yeah, and not to mention, if you're laying on your side with a conventional style pan, you're not going to have any oil to pick up for the pump, and eventually you'll just kill the crank, the bearings, the bottom end of the motor. So yeah, these guys are preparing for everything, and you can see a nice big V8 inside of that one, laid way over on its side, and trying to drive over the one in front of him. When in doubt, gas on it. Don't worry about it.
Oh, man, that's what I always say. Heck with that going slow match, baby.
And one right behind him as well. So, I mean, he's trying to go before he gets driven over.
It's a 3-way tie for that one rock right there.
And
wow.
The fans are absolutely being treated to quite a show here. Eric Miller is leading the group. Can he hang on for the win? Welcome back to the Griffin, King of the Hammers. This is the Lucas Oil Products race recap, and there's some sketchy moments to say the least. Of course, you always have to think about the driver and, of course, the navigator if they're in there as well. Whenever they roll those things over, it's so easy for a boulder or a rock to work its way through the window or window nets. So these guys are definitely laying out here on the line.
Eric Miller with a great run. And by the way, I want to meet that one guy that just took the Jeep and just flipped it all the way over. Mooneyham with a great run here. And again, Rick has had his fair share of flat tires here so far. And keep in mind, this thing is 74+ miles.
Carter having trouble there in the gravel as Casey Curry drives around, as does Sure.
That's pretty amazing, really, because it doesn't look like when you compare it to something like this, that would be a problematic area, however it is.
That is Brian Shirley. You can see the side window is open because the navigator has gotten out to help him out. And then you also see the blue smoke. That's exactly what you were talking about before. It was laid over on its side. It probably got some oil up on top of the piston.
Yeah, once you get that in those cylinders, man, then and if it comes to any kind of volume, again, if that valve's not open on the exhaust side, it'll lock that thing up. But obviously, they've got a way around that here.
And again, take a look at this area. I mean,
it's a parking lot, man. Oh,
there are
crazy.
vehicles everywhere. Eric Miller, who's out of Cumberland, Maryland's like, man, I've done this before. It looks like the Jersey Turnpike. No problem. Watch this.
Oh, man,
this is the son of Brian Shirley. That is Levi Shirley,
who has run a pretty good race so far. He's had more than his fair share of ill will, if you will. Yeah, how'd that work out? But he has been on his side, a time or two, but he's still rocking.
He's still chasing Dad, too, because Dad's up there pounding around in the top 10.
Wow, it's hard to put into words. Rusty Bray right there in that 4498 machine. He's making some waves here.
And you got to love that one because, I mean, it really looked like it had a lot of stock components still on it. As we watch Derek West, pretty much no stock components left on this one. A purpose-built machine that is able to navigate its way through some of the toughest terrain they can throw at it.
And you got to also keep in mind when you look at the entry list of almost 140 units that they're from Missouri, Maryland, New Mexico, Kentucky, Indiana. I mean, it's pretty crazy to look at it. And you also got to remember in the areas that have your pit stop areas that a number of these teams are not as well funded as, some of the bigger teams where they can have pit crews at every stop. So, it's David and Goliath story for some way or another.
Yeah, and a lot of these guys really help out other teams as well. I mean, you got to love the camaraderie out here. You don't hang anybody out to dry out here because you might be the next one. Lucas Murphy out here trying to get it done as well. A lot of ground clearance on that one. And again, you can watch these things go to work. So much grip, so much travel, so much suspension. Shannon Campbell kind of pitching it in there. Looks like he's got the shocks working at high speed very nicely.
Well, he is making up some ground there. And we already know when we saw him previously that they did put a tire on that machine. Here's Eric Miller, and I'm not going to say a surprise currently in first place because Eric's been there before. And again, a driver all the way from the state of Maryland out here running this course.
And it's so funny to watch these things work. Once in a while, you see them kind of lay over and they keep 3 down. Once in a while, it picks up the entire front end like it's stiff. So there's so much technology going on inside of the shocks and spring packages in these vehicles. That's what allows them to stay up front and maintain the speed. Stay with us. We'll crown a king when we come back.
We love to hear from our fans. Go to www.facebook.com and become a fan of Lucas Oil on the Edge. Join our OTE private group or like our page. Then post your comments about this Lucas Oil on the Edge episode. This Lucas Oil on the Edge telecast is being brought to you by Lucas Oil. Made in America, sold to the world. General Tire. Anywhere is possible. Ready Liftoff Road Suspension. A new revolution in off-road suspension design and development.
We're going right back to the desert for the conclusion of the King of the Hammers race here on the one and only Lucas Oil on the Edge. Rick Mooneyham, Eric Miller, and Shannon Campbell are all in the hunt for the win. Let's see who takes home the prize.
So Eric Miller trying to hang on here and stay out of trouble, see if he can pick up his first Griffin King of the Hammers win. He is getting pressured by Mooneyham here, who is about 13 minutes behind. Unfortunately, he's had all these flat tires that's caused him so much time. Otherwise, there's a really good chance he'd be out front.
Our reports from different areas on the track, again, keep in mind it's over 70 miles, that Mooneyham has had as many as 5 or 6 flats, depending on who you're talking to, maybe as many as 7. And like you said, when you're changing them, it's 4 or 5 minutes average. And on this course, that's everything.
Shannon Campbell doing a great job picking up the pace here as he's worked his way into the top 3. Derek West also trying to get up and around some of the other competitors in the 44-31. That was Mike Clinson, who was stopped there right in front of him.
I loved watching the course workers once he got on the move right there. They were clearing out quick, baby. This is some bizarre stuff.
Mooneyham on the throttle, making some dust out here as he's trying to keep pace with Eric Miller and possibly close the gap, but it's not going to happen. We have our first East Coast winner coming out of Cumberland, Maryland. Congratulations to Eric Miller, your Griffin King of the Hammers winner.
All by himself, man. There's 134 of them started, some 48 finished, but the best one today was that young man, Eric Miller.
Awesome stuff there. Congratulations to him on surviving. I mean, a lot of guys just want to survive this one, but he was able to win it. Let's get it down and talk to King.
You're looking pretty good for winning this thing. How's that feel?
Feels really good. And we came out here to do just that. I want to be the first to bring it back to the East. I got such a good group of guys behind me. They worked all night on this car, fully prepped it all night. I mean, they were up at 6 o'clock and I went to pits. I couldn't have done it without them. My co-driver's out in the field. He changed the circuit. I couldn't have done it without Robbie. I mean, we prepped this car at EMS Off-Road for the past month and a half. Dom and John Balducci wouldn't be here without them. So I've got to thank all my friends, my family for being here to support me. And so we're in time.
Congratulations to Rick Mooneyham out of Lake Havasu City, Arizona. About 13 minutes back behind the leader. Hangs on to second place. He had a solid effort here today, Brian.
Yeah, man, and if he had not had the amount of flat tires that he had a great shot of winning this event. As Shannon Campbell will roll that machine in third place overall. Great job for that team and its solo driver there as well. I mean, he ran a good race, fought a good fight here today.
Yeah, and Shannon Campbell really digging his way back here on this second lap as well. He finishes about 30 minutes behind our leader and 17 minutes behind second place. There's some of those shredded tires. And, you know, we need to throw a nod out to Derek West and Lauren Healy finishing in the top 5, and Brad Lovell also out here in the top 6. One Mr. Danny Huseman and the boys working with him. It's been a lot of fun, needless to say, to cover this exciting event. For Brian Olson, I'm Ken Stout. Remember, you're not living unless you're on the edge.